Tonight, more Nigerians get opportunity to exercise their franchise in future elections as INEC unveils over 56,000 new polling units across the country. Court convicts former managing director of defunct bank PHB, Mr. Francis Atuche, on charges of stealing over 25 billion naira belonging to the bank. Federal government seeks power to regulate internet broadcasting and social media as a constitutional lawyer challenges suspension of Twitter in court. And US President Joe Biden and his Russian counterparts agree to begin dialogue on nuclear arms control during their meeting in Geneva. Plus, business sports news from Abuja and later, international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, Securities and Exchange Commission plans rollout of regulatory incubation program for fintechs operating in the capital market.
On sports news tonight, the Edo State government receives the UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman in Benin City.
And from Abuja, Federal Executive Council approves the resumption of the FCT land swap initiative as government moves to fix infrastructure deficit in the nation's capital.
Preparations are in top gear for the 2023 general elections and the early polls in Anambra and Ekiti states in November and next year. One way the Independent National Electoral Commission is gearing up to confront all challenges that may arise is the unveiling of 56,872 new polling units across Nigeria. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who unveiled the new polling unit in Abuja, says they were formerly voting points and voters' settlement points converted by INEC. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Ahead of the resumption of the continuous voter registration exercise, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, is giving updates on the preparation for the exercise. Among the factors affecting the conduct of credible elections in Nigeria are the issues of inadequacy and inaccessibility of polling units to voters. But the INEC chairman says the commission has finally cracked the nuts.
The 56,872 voting points and voting point settlements were converted and added to the existing 119,974 polling units. Nigeria now has 176,846 full-fledged polling units.
A look at the distribution of the new polling units according to states shows Lagos has the highest with 4,861, followed by Kano with 3,148 and Kaduna with 2,910. In terms of geopolitical spread of the new polling units, the Northwest has the highest, while the Southeast has the lowest.
Each and every person present here will have the...
Meanwhile, some polling units said to be inappropriately located have been relocated.
The Commission has successfully removed 749 polling units from inappropriate locations to appropriate public facilities or open spaces in line with our policy to guarantee unencumbered access to polling units for all voters. Of this figure, 232 were removed from private properties, 145 royal palaces, 6 mosques, 21 churches, and 9 shrines. For subsequent elections, beginning from the Anambra State governorship election holding on 6 November 2021, there will be no voting points anymore in Nigeria, only polling units.
He also announces the date for the governorship election in Ekiti and Osun states.
The Commission has approved that the Ekiti governorship election will hold on Saturday, 18th June 2022, while the Osun state governorship election will hold 1 month later on Saturday, 16th July 2022.
The Commission is hoping that the creation of new polling units will further improve the electoral system and deliver credible and improved elections. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Staying with politics, the River State Governor Nyesom Wike is calling for prayers for the country following the economic and security challenges confronting the nation, and he says the country is in dire need of help. Governor Wike made these comments as he inaugurates more road infrastructure in River State today.
Those of you who believe that PDP did not do well, and so you had to vote out PDP in 2015, you must be regretting now why you voted for this party to come into power. Since APC came into power, you can now see what Nigeria has turned to. It is either debt or it is the exchange rate has now gone to 510 naira to $1. But when they took over, it was 150 naira to $1. So they said they will give employment. Do we have employment today? Do your children have employment today? As we are today, Nigeria is in dire need of help. As we are today, Nigeria needs prayer. As we are today, our mothers and sisters, we must put your knees on ground and pray to God to salvage this country. The country is what we may call, what we go to doctors will call we're in oxygen. Nobody knows what will happen. Each day you wake up, you hear people are being killed.
And the presidency has been reacting to the communique issued by governors of the main opposition PDP after their meeting in Akwa Ibom on Monday. A statement by the senior special assistant to President Buhari on media and publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu, describes the PDP governors' communique as a spectacular demonstration to the people of Nigeria as to why the party and its representatives should not be entrusted with national leadership of the country anytime soon. Some of the key issues Mr. Shehu's statement addressed include the governor's comment on the NNPC's remittances, and he says what the governors are asking of NNPC is to break the bank for what he describes as their own profligate political ends. The statement also reads, when the governors claim a lack of federal institutions' money pouring into their states' coffers is an affront to democracy, constitutionalism, and federalism, they fail to mention the ugliest trend against the integrity of Nigeria comes by their own hands with their refusal to support the federal government's earnest desire to reinstate the local government as the third tier and finding a lasting solution to the farmer-herder conflicts costing the nation lives and livestock. On the involvement of state in mining, Mr. Garba Shehu asked why it took the governors so long when such opportunities and state powers have been fully available since independence. It adds that the PDP grieves over the federal government's action over Twitter because the action represents the curtailment of their ability to use the platform to spread fake news and invent stories to the detriment of community and good neighborliness between the peoples of Nigeria. The statement concludes that the PDP governors propose no solutions to any of the nation's challenges in the face of COVID and global economic downturn. Staying with politics, a new faction of the All Progressives Grand Alliance has emerged. Leading the faction is a former national youth leader of the party, Judo Keke, who told a news conference in Abuja that the national executive, led by Victor Oye, has been sacked for alleged anti-party activities, gross misconduct, and conduct capable of damaging the party's reputation. Mr. Oye dismisses these allegations, insisting that he remains the substantive chairman of the party, as proven by the records with the Independent National Electoral Commission.
The All Progressives Grand Alliance prides itself as a united party going by its creed, which is to be your brother's keeper. But the party is not united at the moment, following the latest leadership crisis. These members of the party are announcing the removal of some leaders of the party, citing several infractions.
Under my leadership, we must return APGA to winning ways. The National Executive Committee of our party has demonstrated this commitment by resolving that there will be only one governorship primary election in Anambra State, and it has been scheduled to take place on the first day of July 2021. By this decision of the NEC, the earlier announced primary elections announced on behalf of the party to be held on the 23rd of June and the 25th of June by both Chief Victor Oye and Chief Edozie Njoku are hereby cancelled.
What I believe.
However, Chief Victor Oye insists he remains the national chairman of the party, as recognized by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Everybody that saw what happened yesterday knew it was just a charade. And it happens in our party every 4 years. Once there is an election, a governorship election, all kinds of pseudo groups will emerge to try to draw attention to their illegitimate activities. What happened yesterday, to me, I'm not moved 1 inch, because they didn't have any constitutionality, no legality, no legitimacy.
The All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, has been the ruling party in Anambra State for the past 15 years. And as they prepare for the November 6 governorship election in the state, the leadership tussle is one issue the elders of the party must resolve to retain its hold in the state.
The Court of Appeal sitting in Akure, the Ondo State capital, has dismissed the petition filed by Mr. Aitayo Jegede, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the October 2020 governorship election of Ondo State against the election of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC). Delivering the lead judgment, which lasted over 2 hours, Justice Teresa Oji Abadua said the case filed by Mr. Jegede lacks merit. The judges of the Court of Appeal also submitted that the appeal is partly allowed and partly dismissed. Meanwhile, the PDP candidate, Mr. Aitayo Jegede, has vowed to approach the Supreme Court, but Governor Akeredolu believes that he'll still emerge victorious.
I give God Almighty all the glory, Lord, and honor. He's the only one that could make this possible, and I thank God for the judgment. I've said this over and over, that look, this case itself, the base is so flimsy, it's for me as a person, and it's clear. But because where you believe that you can go through the back door and upturn the will of the people, it's not going to work. And it's so clear. I mean, we had an election in which the party won 15 out of the local government. You won 3. You are not contesting the result of the election, but you are hinging your petition on the chairman of the party who signed the nomination or that was forwarded to INEC. That will not. It is not. I don't see any court that will allow that.
Still more legal matters. A Lagos High Court sitting in the Ikeja area has convicted a former managing director of the defunct bank PHB, Mr. Francis Atuche, on charges of stealing the sum of 25.7 billion naira belonging to the bank. In a judgment that lasted over 10 hours, Justice Latifat Kano convicted Mr. Atuche alongside a former chief financial officer of the bank, Mr. Ugo Anyanwu. The court convicted the duo on 21 of the 27 count amended charge of conspiracy to commit felony and stealing brought against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Justice Okuno held that the EFCC successfully proved its case against the convicts beyond reasonable doubt. The judge also rejected the claims of the defendants that they were merely professional negligent. She specifically held that Atuche and Anyanwu abused their powers, ignored established rules and regulations, thereby putting the bank and depositors' funds in danger. The court also came to the conclusion that the convicts corruptly took advantage of their positions to confer on themselves undue financial benefits without regard to the health of the bank. Justice Okuno, however, cleared Atuche's wife on the charge of conspiracy and stealing. According to the judge, the EFCC failed to link her to the crime and insisted that suspicion, no matter how strong, cannot take the place of fact. The judge held that it was not proven that she was aware of the source of the funds she received into her account from her husband, and she had no powers to take any decision to influence the transaction. In part two, after the break, federal government moves to regulate internet broadcasting and social media as a constitutional lawyer challenges suspension of Twitter in court. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. More Nigerians get opportunity to exercise their franchise in future elections as INEC unveils over 56,000 new polling units across the country. Court convicts former managing director of the defunct bank PHB, Mr. Francis Atuche, on charges of stealing over 25 billion naira belonging to the bank. Federal government seeks power to regulate internet broadcasting and social media as a constitutional lawyer challenges suspension of Twitter in court. And US President Joe Biden and his Russian counterpart agree to begin dialogue on nuclear arms control during their meeting in Geneva. And while the controversy over the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria rages, the federal government is yet making another move by seeking the power to regulate the internet and other online outlets. Minister of Information, Mr. Lai Mohammed, made this clear when he appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values during a public hearing on a bill to amend the National Broadcasting Act. Mr. Lai Mohammed, who was reacting to provisions of the proposed law, which listed the categories of licenses to be granted, says the government has an obligation to monitor broadcast content.
I do want to add here, Mr. Chairman, sir, members of the House specifically, that internet broadcasting and all online media should be included in this, because we have responsibilities to monitor content,
including Twitter.
Including Twitter. Thank you, sir.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association section on Public Interest and Development Law, NBA Spidel Monday Ubani, has sued the federal government over the ban on Twitter. In the suit filed before the Federal High Court in Lagos, Mr. Ubani is seeking, amongst other things, a declaration that the ban on Twitter is unlawful and violates the fundamental rights of freedom of expression, freedom to hold opinions, receive and impact ideas and information without interference as guaranteed by the 1999 Constitution. Joined in as second, third and fourth respondents are the Attorney General of the Federation, Minister of Information and Culture, and the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. Mr. Bani's prayers before the court also includes a declaration that the instruction given to the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria, ALTON, by the NCC to stop Nigerians from getting access to Twitter violates his fundamental rights of freedom of expression, freedom to hold opinions and receive and impact ideas and information without interference as guaranteed by Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution. Moving on to other stories, President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to visit Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, tomorrow for a one-day working visit. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum says the president would be appraising the security situation in the northeast during his visit. He's also expected to commission 4,000 houses, which is part of the federal government's housing projects, as well as some local projects executed by the Borno State government. Governor Zulum also reminds the people of Maiduguri of the president's recent approval of the establishment of a power plant by the NNPC in Borno State to address electricity problems. The president's last visit to Maiduguri was in February 2020 to commiserate with the people of the state over the attack on stranded travelers in Kano that left many dead.
President Muhammadu Buhari will be coming to Borno State on Thursday, the 17th of June 2021 The President is coming to appraise security situation in the Northeast, therein which he will commission some of developmental projects executed by the government. The President will also commission the first phase of 10,000 houses, which he graciously approved and funded for the resettlement of IDPs and refugees. I'm glad to once again confirm to you that the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari has completed 4,000 out of the 10,000 houses approved for our IDPs.
Into a tragic story where 5 persons have been burned to death while 2 others sustained injuries in an explosion at Ajilete axis of the Owode-Diroko Road in Ogun State. According to a unit commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, the truck was carrying 33,000 litres of diesel when the incident happened. Eyewitnesses say the fuel-laden tanker was descending a sloppy road when its tank fell off and went up in flames. The 5 persons who were said to have died on the spot were residents of the area, while 2 others were injured. A bus and a motorcycle were equally razed in the explosion. To security, gunmen suspected to be bandits have killed 1 person and kidnapped 2 others who are Chinese nationals from a mining site in Wukari local government area of Taraba State. The police public relations officer in the state, David Missel, says a manhunt for the fleeing bandits has been launched with full-scale investigation ongoing. According to him, the 2 foreigners are staff of H&H Mining Company. Several others who sustained various degrees of injuries while scampering for safety are said to be receiving treatment at various health facilities within the community. Meanwhile, armed bandits also struck in Zamfara State, killing 4 policemen and 1 security and civil defense corps personnel, leaving 1 other person critically injured. The security operatives were killed in an ambush along Gora community in Maradun local government area of the state. The spokesperson of the state's police command, Shehu Mohammed, says the ambush follows the killing of an unspecified number of bandits who blocked the Bakuru-Gusau road on Sunday afternoon. In Kano State, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje says the Nigerian Navy has what it takes to contribute to ending the security challenges the nation is experiencing. Governor Ganduje made this declaration when he hosted Nigerian Navy's Chief of Policy and Plans, Rear Admiral Christian Ezekobe, at the Government House in Kano. According to him, the state will do whatever it takes to support the Navy in its quest to expand its operations, because doing so will engender an enduring partnership between the government and the Navy.
The Chief of Policy and Plans of the Nigerian Navy, Rear Admiral Christian Ezekobe, and his team arrived at Kano State Government House for a visit to Governor Abdullahi Ganduje. The visit, according to the Rear Admiral, is prompted by Governor Abdullahi Ganduje's earlier visit to the headquarters of the Navy to commiserate with the armed forces on the demise of Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru in a plane crash in Kaduna.
Putting up a professional school.
Without further ado, Rear Admiral Ezekobe tells Governor Ganduje that the essence of the visit is to convey the request of the Chief of Naval Staff for the presence and visibility of the Nigerian Navy in Kano State.
So we are looking at putting up a professional school, perhaps the Nigerian Navy Logistics School, which will have a garment factory and some other lesser professional bodies attached to it. For instance, like I mentioned to His Excellency, most Nigerians do not know that the #1 special forces in the country today is domiciled with the Navy. We have the Nigerian Navy Special Boat Service. They are the most potent in Nigeria today. The Army acknowledges that and the Air Force acknowledges that. They are trained by the American SEALs and the British Special Boat Services. So that component of their training that has to do with desert warfare could be moved to Kano State.
On his part, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje says his administration is ready to develop an enduring partnership with the Nigerian Navy, as that will engender a win-win situation for both parties.
It is important to have an institution, naval institution in Kano State, so that your presence will be felt. More shunts of the soil of Kano will be encouraged to join the Navy, seeing your people going around. 2, we get the services of the Navy in terms of employment. We get the security aspect of the Navy, while you too enjoy our hospitality and whatever that the government will be able to assist you as an institution.
Governor Ganduje also promised to facilitate the proposed Chief of Naval Staff Conference scheduled to hold in August this year.
And back to some legal stories. Hopes of freedom for popular Yoruba actor Olayiwaju Omiyinka, also known as Baba Ijesha, was dashed today by a chief magistrate court sitting in the Yaba area of Lagos. Magistrate Peter Nwaka refused to vary his bail condition on charges of rape, sexual assault and abuse of a minor. The magistrate sent him back to the custody of police pending his arraignment by the Lagos State Director of Public Prosecution, DPP. Baba Ijesha was brought to the court by the police around noon alongside other crime suspects and arraigned on a 5-count charge. He pleaded not guilty when the counts were read to him. The police prosecutor in the matter, however, told the magistrate that proceedings concerning Baba Ijesha will now be handled by the DPP following an information filed before the High Court. On his part, counsel to the defendant, Kayode Olabiran, made a fresh application for Baba Ijesha's bail. When the news at 10 returns, Federal Executive Council approves the resumption of the FCT land swap program, plus the Securities and Exchange Commission plans regulatory incubation program for fintechs operating in the capital market. That's on Business News. Do join us again. Welcome back, and we're off to Abuja, where Gloria Muzoke is standing by with more stories. Gloria.
Hello, Millicent. Good to see you. The Federal Executive Council has given approval for the resumption of the Federal Capital Development Authority Land Swap Initiative. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Mohammed Bello, made the disclosure after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House. The initiative, which was launched under the previous administration and worth about ₦1 trillion, was primarily to fix the infrastructure deficit in the Federal Capital Territory by swapping land with private investors who would in turn provide necessary infrastructure.
I presented a memo and an update on the FCT Land Infrastructure Swap Initiative to the Federal Executive Council. And after a lot of deliberations, the Federal Executive Council approved the FCTA Land Infrastructure Swap Initiative, which is popularly known as Land Swap, which was commenced some time ago by previous FCTA administration. And after a review of what has transpired over the years and also changes made, the Federal Executive Council approved that we now should continue with the land swap initiative on the basis of amendments to the procedure as well as new safeguards introduced so that investors, the FCT, that is the government, as well as off-takers will be protected.
The work has commenced on the second green economic zone in Kaduna State, located in Igabi local government area, with a pledge by the state government to use it to reduce youth unemployment. It has been flagged off in spite of the security challenges in the state to accelerate development and reduce poverty. This, according to the state government, is an indication that investors have continued to recognize and respond to the commitment to partner with the private sector to accelerate development.
Like most states in the northern region, Kaduna State has a share of insecurity orchestrated by bandits and kidnappers which the state government is striving to contain. Regardless, Governor Nasir El-Rufai is undeterred to provide structures for job creation and revenue generation. In line with his initiative, the Kaduna State Investment Promotion Agency is setting up agro-allied economic zones across the state, with one already established along the Kaduna-Abuja Road in Jukun local government area in 2016. According to the Executive Secretary of the Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency, Umi Aboki, the project is one of 2 industrial parks aimed at fast-tracking the industrialization and investment drive.
This partnership represents a mutually beneficial arrangement which will ultimately yield vast opportunities to all the stakeholders involved in terms of exposure, business creation, infrastructural development, and the overall elevation of living standards in the local community, Kaduna State and Nigeria at large.
The Green Economic Zone project is on 717 hectares of land located on Kaduna-Jos Road. The project is a public-private partnership that will cost about 15 billion naira and is expected to provide critical infrastructure to enable firms set up manufacturing plants with an estimated completion period of 24 dry months.
We, KK Kingdom Nigeria Limited, is partnering with Kaduna State Government in developing the Green Economic Zone in Kaduna into a modern industrial zone.
The governor performs a symbolic groundbreaking ceremony. The second Green Economic Zone project located in Igabi local government area.
This major step we are taking in the Green Economic Zone complements the progress being recorded in our other industrial park along Kaduna-Abuja Road, the Green Agro-Allied Industrial Zone. We are looking forward to many more firms taking advantage of the economic opportunities being created in Kaduna State and Nigeria at large.
While the Kaduna State government takes steps to tackle security issues within its domain, it's pleased with the confidence the private sector has continued to demonstrate in the economic prospects of the state.
Governor Nyesom Wike continued the commissioning of more projects in River State today, and he says he is fulfilled with his achievements in River State. The Isaiah Odoli and Omerelu streets in the new GRA in Port Harcourt, the state capital, were constructed many years ago, and now we're in your look.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is announcing the
Governor Nyesom Wike has added 2 new roads to the list of projects he's completed in River State. The governor says he's fulfilled with his achievements in the state as he commissions more road infrastructure to push the frontier of his urban renewal agenda. Constructed many years ago, this is the new look of Isaiah Odoli and Umerelu streets in New GRA, Port Harcourt, the state capital. The special guests, former Senate President David Mark, who is spending his second day commissioning road projects in River State, says Governor Wike has performed beyond expectation.
Now you have a governor who has fulfilled his promises and gone beyond his promises, and they will continue to do that. The difference between him and just providing infrastructure is he provides his own with a human face. There is humility in what he's doing.
For the governor, his interest is not only about providing physical infrastructure, but guaranteeing the safety of residents.
And let me say clearly, now that the Assembly has come back, we have to submit the bill on anti-open grazing as we agreed in the Southern Governors Forum. I said I would do something, and I have done it. Is it not true? All the promises I made, I said I have fulfilled them. And I can go home and be proud that an Apra son who became governor had done something for this state. And anybody from Apra should go and be proud of yourself that anybody can challenge us. When we had a time, we changed the narrative in River State. And that is the truth of the matter. The glory of God and for use of humanity. Amen.
The road is commissioned, marking the high point of the event.
constructed by the administration of His Excellency.
Fitted with street lights and marked for better traffic management, this addition, according to the River State government, will reduce travel time and increase real estate value in this highbrow area of the state capital.
And last but not least,
the House of Representatives Committee on Industry says the proposed amendment to the Industrial Training Fund Act will enhance efficiency of local industries and empower the ITF. Chairman of the House Committee on Industry, Honorable Eniton Badru, hinted this when he spoke with journalists in Jos, the Plateau State capital, after the House Committee's oversight visit to Plateau State, where the lawmakers inspected some industries and production facilities.
Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Industry are in Plateau State, north-central Nigeria, to exercise their oversight function. They are hosted by the Industrial Training Fund, ITF. The Director General highlights the organization's achievements in the last year, despite the pandemic.
In the year 2020, and despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, we implemented the following intervention programs. The National Industrial Skills Development Program, NISDP, the Special Skills Development Program, SSDP, the Federal Government Skills Empowerment Program, FEGOSEP, the Infotech Skills Empowerment Program, ISEP, and Agripreneurship Training Program, ATP. Together, the programs trained thousands of Nigerians that were empowered with startup packs for them to set up on their own.
They are also visiting industries with a view to proffering solutions to challenges that might require the National Assembly's intervention. Having concluded its visit, the committee expresses satisfaction with local content, saying the proposed Industrial Training Fund Amendment Act could only enhance the performance of the ITF.
We are very, very happy so far, and what makes us happy is the level of local content in the production of in the industries. The amendment of the ITF Act is to enhance the capacity and capability of ITF. So far, so good. Even without the amendment, you can see that ITF has come up with an Android phone, and you see that with the amendment, probably they will come up with an aircraft in the future.
With the new ITF Act, the Nigerian economy is expected to receive a boost with improved manpower supporting both the public and private sectors.
That's it from the nation's capital. It's back to Millicent in Lagos for the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks, Gloria. Well, we have an update on the conviction of the former managing director of the defunct bank PHB, Mr. Francis Atuche. A news end says the Lagos High Court has sentenced the former managing director of the defunct bank PHB, Francis Atuche, to over 6 years in prison. The court found him guilty of stealing the sum of 25.7 billion naira belonging to the bank, among other charges, while the former chief financial officer of the bank, Ugo Anyanwu, is to serve a 4-year jail term, each on the same counts, which is also to run consecutively. They're to pay back the sum of 25.7 billion naira to the federal government to replace the funds stolen from the public to bail out the bank. They are to serve the jail term at the Kirikiri Maximum Correctional Facility in Lagos. Business is next with some stories. Here's Teniola Shibowale.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks
a lot, Millicent. Welcome to Business News. The Securities and Exchange Commission says it's set to roll out its regulatory incubation program for fintechs interested in the Nigerian capital market. According to a statement by the regulatory body today, the program will address the needs of new business models and processes that require regulatory authorization to continue carrying out technology-driven capital market activities. It adds that the initiative will also serve as an interim measure to aid the evolution of effective regulation, accommodating fintech innovation without compromising market integrity and ensuring investor protection. SEC says the program, which seeks to admit identified fintech business models and processes in cohorts for a year, will be launched in the third quarter of 2021. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Security Printing and Minting Company has stated its readiness to print the Gambian currency, the Dalasi, following ongoing collaboration between the Central Bank of Nigeria and its Gambian counterpart. According to a statement by the Mint today, a delegation led by the governor of the Gambian Central Bank was received by the Mint's managing director, Mr. Abbas Masanawa. It adds that the Mint Currency Division has the capability and capacity to deliver the entire life cycle of currency production locally for the West African country. The conclusion of the deal will see the Gambia as the first foreign country to have its currency printed in Nigeria. Well, let's check in on the stock market now. The local equities market bounces back to positive territory by 0.15% as the value of listed stocks increased by 30 billion naira amid mixed trading session. While Ekaite Afia has more.
Good evening and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. The domestic stock market made a rebound in today's trading session despite mixed sentiments in the key indicators. Now, the all-share index advanced by 0.15% as 27 stocks posted gains, increasing the equity cap by about 30 billion naira, showing investors renewed interest in some bellwether stocks in more than 4,300 transactions. Now, taking a look at today's performance across the 5 key sectors, the banking and insurance counters were the hardest hit, largely due to the fall in share prices of GT Bank, Consolidated Hallmark Insurance, which was among the top decliners, while Cornerstone Insurance Company, PLC, led 27 gainers in today's trade. Meanwhile, stocks of Sterling Bank, Echo Bank, Transnational Incorporated, and Wema Bank emerged as the top 3 contributors to the volume of transactions carried out in today's trading session. Will investors continue to ride on the back of the bull in tomorrow's session? I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. That's all for the Stock Market Report. I'm Ekaite Afia. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Ekaite. Well, let's take a look at the numbers for global markets. And that's Business News tonight. It's back to Millicent.
Thank you, Taniola. The US and Russian presidents have ended their summit in Geneva, with both sides praising each other for how they conducted themselves during talks. According to President Joe Biden of the US, the two spoke the same language as they discussed a wide range of issues. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Israel says it carried out airstrikes in Gaza overnight after Palestinians launched incendiary balloons from the territory in the first major flare-up since an 11-day conflict last month. The Israeli military said it targeted compounds belonging to Hamas, the militant group that controls Gaza. The incendiary balloons sparked 20 fires in southern Israel on Tuesday. Hamas said they were a response to a march by Israeli nationalists in the occupied East Jerusalem. There were no casualties on either side. Leftist candidate Pedro Castillo has won the most votes in Peru's presidential runoff election. With all ballots now counted, Mr. Castillo has just over 50% of the votes, 44,000 more than right-wing contender Keiko Fujimori. However, Mr. Castillo cannot be declared the winner until electoral authorities have finished processing a slew of legal challenges brought by Ms. Fujimori. She has claimed electoral fraud, but has not provided any detailed evidence. The FBI has warned that followers of the QAnon conspiracy theory could again engage in violence against political opponents out of frustration that the theory's predictions have not come true. FBI experts distributed a memo to Congress earlier this month, which said QAnon conspiracists have expressed frustrations about their predictions not coming true. Some of those theories include Hillary Clinton's arrest and former President Donald Trump's restoration to power. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced new restrictions as the country faces a third wave of COVID-19.
That we must once again tighten restrictions.
A nationwide curfew has been moved up to 10 p.m. local time, while alcohol sales have been limited to Mondays to Thursdays with limits to public gatherings. Mr. Ramaphosa allayed fears over the slow progress of the country's vaccination program, saying 2 million Johnson & Johnson vaccines were expected by the end of this month. He added that South Africa had the capacity to vaccinate at least 150,000 people daily and urged those aged over 60 years to register to get a jab. Several people have been taken to hospital to receive treatment for injuries caused by a protester who parachuted into the stadium during France's win over Germany in the Euro 2020 Cup. European football's governing body UEFA said law authorities will take the necessary action for what it called a reckless and dangerous act. Debris fell onto the pitch and stands when the parachutist got tangled in wires carrying an overhead camera. Environmental campaign group Greenpeace took responsibility for the stunt and in a statement apologized to those who were hurt. Dozens of sea lions seeking to escape a pack of killer whales in southern Chile have surprised a fishing boat by trying to board it en masse instead. Fisherman Antonio Zapata said that even though hunts by orcas are relatively common where he and his crew operate, he had never before, in his 4 decades at sea, experienced anything similar. Mobile phone footage shows the water around the boat jammed with thrashing sea lions. Mr. Zapata said the crew was genuinely concerned the boat would be damaged or they could end up in the water too. And finally, an Indonesian town is rewarding elderly residents with live chickens for getting vaccinated for COVID-19. It's due to a new door-to-door vaccination drive in the West Java province where authorities show up at elderly residents' homes without prior notice, prepared to hand out vaccines and chickens. The town's authorities aim to have 60,000 residents fully vaccinated by the end of July. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. The Edo State government has received UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, also known as the Nigerian Nightmare, in Benin City. Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu gave an assurance that the government will sustain reforms and programs to ensure that more young people in the state thrive and realize their potential. In the European Championships, Alexei Miranchuk's first half goal has earned Russia a 1-0 victory over Finland in their second game in St. Petersburg. Aaron Ramsey and Connor Roberts scored as Wales took a huge step towards reaching the last 16 with a 2-0 win over Turkey in Baku. Italy became the first team to reach the last 16 after a convincing win over Switzerland in Rome, winning by 3-0. And Real Madrid have announced that central defender Sergio Ramos will leave this summer after 16 years at the club. Real confirmed that an act of farewell to Captain Ramos will be held on Thursday. And that's sports news.
Thank you, Ayotunde. And the main news again. The Lagos High Court today sentenced former bank PHB Managing Director Francis Atuche to over 6 years in prison on several counts for stealing and conspiracy. The counts are to run consecutively and he is to serve the jail term at the Kirikiri Maximum Prison. A former chief financial officer of the bank, Ugo Anyanwu, is to also serve over 4 years jail term each on the same count. The suit lasted for over 12 years. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Nwaka. Stay safe.